Alrighty, and we are back with Rick. Rick, what is up, man?
Hey, not much. Happy Easter. Happy late Passover. How was your Easter? We're recording this at like 7 on
I
Easter
know,
Sunday.
which it's funny. You don't look any darker. You're a man of the shadows, no matter what time of day.
I thought it would be better with the natural light not coming in today, like it being later at night.
I think you look pretty nice. You look slick. You got a nice haircut too. I was just saying this before we recorded. You look good.
I turned the blur slightly less on the background to reveal more of my plant over time to the viewers.
There's going to be code words written in lemon ink on the plant that people are going to be able to disguise.
Is that Hebrew writing? Yeah.
Exactly. No, my Easter was good. It was nice. Went down to Western Mass to see some of my relatives. Very happy to see them. Really nice. How was your Easter? Was it good?
It was good, yeah. Yeah, it was nice. I think before we launch into a busy week, I should update the loyal listeners. I got a lot of feedback on...
I was going to say something on this. I was going to say one outfit. You may have a new haircut, but not all is new in your wardrobe.
No, I posed the question to you last week, should I start wearing suspenders? And you were vehemently against it, to put it mildly. And it turns out everyone was. Everyone was against it. I got a lot of messages with things like, please don't, we're begging you not to, don't even think about it. That was the general theme of the responses to that question.
I had friends' parents write in saying, God, no, please tell Rick not. Well, I hope this is a good vouch for my friendship. You can now know that I'll die on the hill to help you out. I'll say, the real opinion. I won't just give you flattering.
That's true.
Be a yes man.
Sometimes I need tough love.
Like I love the haircut. But if you came in here with a mohawk, I'll chop you down.
Yeah.
Which you're a tough love guy. You're famously tough love.
That's true. It's a good sign for your fashion sense too, that a lot of people backed you up and said, just please listen to Nick. We're begging you to listen to your friend.
Well, frankly, you kind of gave me a layup with suspenders. I know this one maybe was on the oven for you, but that one society has decided on that one. So
I did get one message saying for it, I think they're great, something along those lines. So it was about a 10-to-1 ratio.
Well, I saw someone say maybe Rick should start wearing lederhosen. So I don't know. people want to get you into costume apparently, but no, I do wonder. Yeah, but you know what's funny? A lot of people including myself, shut down the suspenders, but no one gave you some solutions, Maybe a classic Democrat complaint. You have a lot of whining, but what should he do then?
That's true.
You know what I mean? So, because, okay, you're not in suspenders, yet your pants are still falling.
Exactly. And your suggestion of buying new pants, I mean, that's like let them eat cake. Money's not falling from trees here.
Not with the sponsorship platter of zero at the moment. So maybe Patreon tier, you could pick out Rick's pants if you donate $5. You can style Rick's belt one day a month if you donate $10. No, yeah, the lonely liberal listeners got together for that one, which is good. But yeah, let us know what should Rick do? Should he just buy new pants, new belt? I want to be still on the record for, I think you should go into big buckle belt. Like, I think a nice fucking baby. I think that's not a bad idea.
What type, what should be on the buckle? My name?
Rattlesnake? No.
Big Rick?
Big Rick. Rick Speed.
There you
Many
go.
of your nicknames, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, maybe a cowboy. Yeah, you're not really a cowboy kind of bones. But actually, and before we get into, we have a big week, so this is a lot of grab ass, as they say in the industry. But speaking of the suspender conversation, and this is a nasty translate. This is a bad transition. But do you know the show Love on the Spectrum?
I've heard of it.
Okay. not to suggest that the suspender comment would be like that. I just, a guy in an ad for it had suspenders on, which made me think of it. But what are your thoughts on that show and shows of that nature? I kind of got into an argument the other day, and I'm curious what you think and the listeners think. I kind of feel like that show shouldn't exist. And it's a little, I don't know how much the autistic people are in on it, that like they're watching because they got a special show. It feels a little to me like people are laughing at them. Like a little bit, like a little circusy kind of vibe. You know, people will say, oh, it's representation. And I get that, but why not just put an autistic dude on The Bachelor or The Bachelor and then just not make it a big deal if you really care about representation?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little nasty, which I know is not a popular opinion, but I've been thinking about this.
Do you remember when Jersey Shore first came out? That there were a bunch of like Italian groups that were condemning the show because they were like, this is awful for the representation of Italian Americans. And that, I mean, that, I guess that's not really a dating show, but.
And that's also a little bit of a stretch because those are just New Jersey bros. This is literally called Love on the Spectrum.
Right.
Yeah. Like it's not like, because that's New Jersey. Or you could say, oh, it's Atlantic City, New Jersey kind of guys. But they were big into being Italian.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
know.
we take it down. I'm just saying, whenever you single out a group like that and go, look at them try to fall in love, isn't that funny? How they can't go on dates? Isn't it a little nasty? I feel like I'm the only one who thinks this.
No, it does seem mean, to be honest.
Right?
But it's tough when you have the people on the show themselves saying we support the show, because then it's like, who are we to say it's mean when the people on the show that are on the spectrum are saying it's not mean, even if there are other people on the spectrum not on the show saying it is.
Well, I don't know what they think.
I don't know.
I'm just talking out of my ass. Yeah, I have no idea. You know, yeah, it's a good question. I'm curious of what people think who are listening, because it's one of those things that people love that show. That's a big show, Love on the Spectrum. People really like it. So I'm clearly in the minority. I don't know. Just put a dude with autism on one of the shows, like on Love Island, and that will do it. But you don't watch any of those dating shows. I watch way more of that crap than you do.
Yeah, no, I don't. I used to famously be into
yeah, you're a VH1.
Flavor of Love. Yeah, I'm a VH1 dating show guy. But yeah, no, I have not watched any of those in a while.
I'll watch Vanderpump, you know, Scandival. People don't know that. The Bravo verse. I know this. You know, only some people will get what I'm saying right now. But I'm representing. No, you know, Hannah loves some of this stuff too. But whatever. All right, back to the disaster. Well, Easter was good. One last question before we get to the show. Do your holidays ever get political, or do you manage to skirt that? And has having the podcast changed that at all?
Not really. They don't really get political. And I don't know. I think maybe that's because regardless of political views, people don't want to talk about it at the family parties, you know? Granted, it only takes one guy, right?
Yeah.
One drunk uncle.
Yeah, usually the drunk uncle. Yeah.
But no, actually, like it's usually we steer clear of those things. I feel like just naturally that happens. Yeah. How about you? I'm sure because of the pod, you've gotten some more questions.
The pod has definitely ramped it up, but I love it. I don't care. I mean, most of the show is. I mean, we've said it a zillion times, but a huge chunk of the listeners are conservative or moderate conservative, whatever. So this is a big part of my day now, right? Like trying to like rationalize and understand and just be normal. And I mean, once again, just time and time again, it just takes so little to really like show like people, and people are much more open-minded, I think, than a lot of people think, you know, like once you start like slowly breaking it down and like just don't come at it with any hostility. And I've actually gotten pretty good at describing. I'm curious what you think about this, because, you know, one of the common things you hear just in all politics conversations with people who are like apolitical, but just like don't like politics, you know, you get, well, you know, they're both horrible, lesser of two evils type stuff, right? Like, this is a classic thing. And the way I've been answering this in person a lot recently has been by saying, like, this is how I think of the Democrats versus Republicans. The Democrats are really bad at their jobs, but they're trying to do things. They're just really bad at them. So they flounder around and are just struggle to get anything done, but they're trying to do things, but they just can't. Whereas Republicans, and we're talking at the federal level here, they are actively lying to you and firing you up so they can justify giving tax cuts to their richest people in the country. And basically everything is a smokescreen. So Democrats are lying about how good of a job they do, and Republicans are lying in what they believe in. And and that usually resonates, but do you think that's like fair? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you kind of too got to mention like the money and politics influence, because that's something that like most regular people think there should be less of, like
Mhm.
the campaign donations and everything, and super PAC money and all that. So I feel like that's like similarly like how I kind of view it, of like billionaires are donating to Democrats to limit how much they accomplish progressively.
Yep.
Whereas they're donating to Republicans to do exactly what they want them to do. Project
Exactly.
2025 is carrying out the plans that the billionaires write. Whereas when they donate to Democrats, there's so many different factions within the Democratic Party that they're effective by getting the Democrats to be less effective, basically, versus like actually the Democrats carrying out the agenda.
Yep. I think that's perfectly
That's
said.
kind of like, it's obviously a simplification, but that is, if you're talking about general political views, I do feel like that kind of underlies how I see a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. And it's good to talk about because people are having these conversations with people literally all the time. You know, all our listeners are. So yeah, yeah. No, that was. I mean, I'm not going to add anything else because you said it better than me. that was really good. But anyway, like we said, happy Easter. No egg hunt for me this year, but I like a good egg hunt. I'm pro egg hunt. And, you know, President Trump decided to take this special day to start off on a uniting, loving moment. He hit to the socials and he said he let out a doozy at 8 a.m. because he's just up furious. He wakes up so mad. And he said this. He said, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. This guy is an absolute maniac. There's just no other way to put it. This guy is a deranged lunatic.
He really is. He's so emboldened in his apprentice personality recently while he's waging a war, but he's like more reality TV and like more you know what they say, like when people get to be elderly, they kind of become more of themselves sometimes. I think we're seeing that now. He is at like, that's something that a character on a TV show might act like or something, but it's also like
yeah, you're not wrong.
but it's also like the sarcastic praise be to Allah is obviously just so disrespectful to 2 billion people. But it's another example of him, you know, his supporters will be like, oh, he's joking. Like that part's joking. And it's like, we're so far past the point where he should be making any sort of jokes that like we just have to analyze this like it's a serious statement, even though like obviously it's half serious coming, you know?
Well, the first half is serious, right? I'm going to bomb a country's electrical grid and bridges, you know, civilian infrastructure if they don't open up the strait in 2 days. And you have to take it seriously because it's the president of the United States, you know, like.
Right. It's like, it's serious, but his language is saying like, I don't give a fuck.
Well, he's so unserious.
I'm saying whatever I want.
He's an unserious piece of shit. I mean, yeah, but also obviously the irony of this being on Easter, which, you know, is the number 2 holiday for Christians, I'd say. It's Christmas number 1, Easter number 2 in terms of holy importance, right? So just horrible content for a day that's supposed to be peaceful and nice. So that's not even going into that. One thing that I just don't understand, and it's something the way he talks, and especially these threats, these are like terrorist threats. It's like those are civilian infrastructure that he's saying he's going to attack. The electrical grid, bridges, and stuff like that. That's very, very clearly not allowed, even in war. That's what qualifies for a war crime. And you can say, well, there is no, Pete Hegseth, he would say, liberal wokenism, blah, 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 blah. But if another government bombed some bridge in the United States, we would call it a terrorist act,
Right,
So
of course.
this is basically him teasing terrorism. It's different from war, actually, if you really think about it, based off of what he talks about. And I know you can say, oh, it's just a tweet, but again, it's the president, and I think that is insane that we're numb to that. I don't know, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's admitting some level of defeat so far about your actual goals to dismantle their missile program. Because if that was already done, why is any of this happening?
Yeah.
The reason he's threatening bombing civilian areas is because he knows his attacks on the military haven't worked, and the negotiations are either not happening at all or going so terribly. It is kind of sad. And then you saw Iran's parliament speaker tweeted back at Trump. This is sadly how negotiations are going in Twitter, talking to Trump, saying your reckless moves are dragging the United States into a living hell for every single family, and you're just following Netanyahu's commands. Much more articulate than Trump's original tweet.
It's just so unfortunate. And then Trump goes back, glory be to God.
Right.
It's like deranged. He's so deranged. It's like he's so deranged. He sounds like an Ayatollah.
Right.
I don't know, it's just crazy. He is the religious zealot causing war across the world. I mean,
Yeah.
no? Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I don't understand. And not to mention, this is only a few days before a U.S. fighter jet was downed in the Strait in Iran just a few days ago, where they had to basically save this downed jet. And it's just awful. Anyway, just another day of remembering. No one out there should be reading Trump's tweets other than Rick and I, so we will tell you what's interesting. For your sanity, just don't
even make a Truth Social login. Don't even.
No, it's not worth it. I promise you. Let us eat your sin. We'll die for your talk about Easter. We'll die for your sins on this one. Don't do it. It's just a disaster. But in good news, question mark, this week was a pretty big deal. We lost another MAGA truther, and her name is Pamela Bondi. She's gone. Wah, wah. Where's the horns? Do we have a horn? Oh. Don't get too excited, folks. But it is good. I mean, it's a good thing in the sense that cracks in the armor, right? They were trying to say no MAGA left behind, or whatever they were trying to say here. And we lost 2 of them now, Noma and Bondi.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that he took a full year to lose any of them, and now it's the 2 big ones back to back.
The women, though. I mean,
it shows he's panicking.
We have to point that out.
That's true.
Yeah, but
that's true.
It's the women. I mean, and they hate women. I mean, not Republicans before the Republicans Amendment. Not you. I'm talking about the Trump administration. I'm talking about them. They don't like them. They hated Bondi off the jump.
Right.
I feel like Noam and Bondi.
And just like with Noam, there's, the theory of why Trump was upset with her over the making him look bad and the spending money and not the horrible actions of ICE, Whereas this, it's similar, where there's reports that he was disappointed that Bondi hasn't been able to prosecute as many political enemies of Trump as he wants. That's one theory out there that, according to an anonymous official, So it does show you where his priorities are, but good call mentioning it was the two women that got fired first.
And I mean, like, I don't even want to be that guy, but it's hard to not notice it. You know, like, MAGA world definitely didn't like those two people. I mean, we knew that. Bondi and Noam were both people that were pretty confidently at the bottom of the interest list for these guys. However, actually, speaking of Christine Noam, I mean, we didn't even have this on the list. Her husband fetish got leaked this week, and apparently he just likes putting fake boobs in him under his shirt. I mean, I don't really know what it is. Hey, all the power to him. I wouldn't even judge him at all. It's just the hypocrisy of how much they hate drag shows is just amusing.
Right. Yeah,
like, he can do whatever he wants.
That story was so big for like 2 days, and now it's already in the past. It's kind of wild.
It didn't make it very far.
No.
Dude, I saw so obviously after Pam Bondi is now out, the deputy, I said, I don't know why I said it like that. I've been watching too much Bar Rescue, so I'm getting the John Taffer quality. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is, by the way, Trump's former personal criminal defense attorney. So now he will be in charge for the time being. I saw a headline from CBS News this week, Rick, to what you were just saying, and it was, can Todd Blanche succeed in prosecuting Trump's political enemies after Pam Bondi's firing? And I'm just like, that's not what the Attorney General is for. It's not like, oh, can he do this? Ha ha ha. Like, this is such a sad state where that's like a legit headline.
Right. And it's not immediate call for impeachment.
He should be removed. Why is he still in office? By the way, I mean, that if any president ever tweeted out what we talked about earlier with Trump and the Easter thing, they'd be, I mean, this would be it.
Oh,
I mean,
of course.
This would be the end of anyone's. The basket of deplorables and crap like that. I mean, that's nothing compared to that tweet.
You could like get Bill Clinton 12 beers deep and he would not tweet something that dumb. And offensive too.
No.
which is saying something.
Frankly, I don't think you can get many people in this country 12 years deep and they would keep it together. I feel like the drunk uncle at Hollywood. I think they're pretty fine compared to this. I think Trump goes another level. Like he's another crazy. Well,
right.
Anyways, one thing I thought of. Oh, go on.
Yeah.
No, go.
Well, I was gonna say, in the context of the Epstein scandal, it's an interesting person to be replacing Bondi, because you could argue Blanche is even more tied to the Epstein files than Bondi is. Like, Blanche was kind of the point person for the Epstein files the past year. And he was the one that went and interviewed Maxwell in prison, like 6 months ago. So, like, you could argue he's closer to the case and therefore has a bigger role in covering it up than even Bondi did. So, like, I don't see how this move benefits Trump in the context of that at all. You know what I mean?
Well, it also potentially benefits him in the sense that, not benefits, but he seems just as committed to the bit as Bondi was of protecting Trump, though. I think he's in the same boat. I mean, he was famously the one on Fox News that said it wasn't a offense to party with Mr. Epstein. And actually, I have that clip. I want to play it. So this was on Fox News in February. This was in February.
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in, relations with minors will be prosecuted?
Well,
Any chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. And so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things. And if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so we need witnesses and we need
Are there
evidence
videotapes that you all have? Or?
They're all released. They're all released. There were some
beyond the ones
not
that...
of any
I'm sorry, I just can't continue with that asshole. I mean, dude, they're all released. We've had more come out since he said that. I mean, it's just the lie.
They've been saying they're all released for a year now.
And also, as I think but also like Ted Lewis said, it is a crime to party with Mr. Epstein if he's underage girls are there.
Right,
and they
of course.
are sex trafficking there. So the question is when he said that statement, was he knowingly lying, or does he just fundamentally not understand the law?
Right. And to
Like,
not like
that's it.
right. And he doubled down on it too. He said it twice within that clip. And it's like the second time I thought he was going to clarify and meant with only other adults. Like if it was
Of
only
course, yeah.
Trump, it's not a crime to go to dinner with only Jeffrey Epstein one-on-one, you know? Then I thought that he was going to clarify, but he just kept saying it's not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's like, yeah, the guy had underage girls at all his parties, though. That's where the crime comes in.
100%. And the host, to her credit, says, like, well, that's not what the photos look like. They're not just partying.
Right.
Like, she says it. And he goes, well, you know, the photos can't talk. Which is an unbelievable response, by the way, to a massive pedophile ring and the investigation around it. Also, it's such a good point, like you said. They've been just saying from the jump, we've got nothing. We've heard Kash Patel go, we just have nothing. We've released everything. And then every month, another tranche of files and photos come out. Like every single, it's just, that lie alone should be enough of any clear-minded person to realize how much they're hiding. You know, just like that in general.
Yeah, of course. And like with every new release, there's some additional connection to Trump, and which makes it that much more obvious that it is a cover-up. It's not just like incompetence, like they claim, like, oh, we redacted the wrong info. Like,
yeah,
no,
it's a joke. And Pam Bondi will be, I think she's still going to get subpoenaed, right? Like she'll still be testifying under oath in a week, because she was meant to do it next week, I think, right? On the 14th.
I think so, yeah.
So I doubt this will have anything to do with it. In fact, she may be more inclined to, now that she doesn't have her job. Do you think there's any chance she could try to save her own ass in some way and sing, as they say? Will she sing like a songbird? or do you think she's just going to double down and ride or die with these MAGAs?
I think she would only sing if she was facing jail time, realistically, not just the vague threat from some Democrat that, oh, we could prosecute you for perjury, whatever. But she would have to believe it's realistic, which I think we're far away from. Also, obviously, because she would get pardoned if Trump was still president anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. They're all going to get a pardon. They're all going to get the end of the term pardon, unless Democrats do something beforehand. Also on this, it's been reported that Trump is considering EPA head Lee Zeldin as the permanent replacement. Lee Zeldin is a maniac and someone I actually think is more terrifying than Pam Bondi, not because of his being maybe less moral, but just because he's got a real psychopathic kind of nature. I mean, as head of the EPA, all he's done is try to make the environment worse, obviously, by removing the endangerment clause, which is the thing that says pollution is bad for you, right? Like, he will do whatever. He is a really, he is MAGA ride or die. And obviously that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I don't want him even in more powerful positions because he's pretty psychotic.
That would be awful. And also obviously not merit-based when he's just shuffling around his cabinet members.
And it's such a good point. We gotta keep mentioning the merit-based thing because that was just such a big part of what we were promised. Yeah. Merit-based. None of them are merit-based. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Honestly, Lee Zeldin's probably more a fit for attorney general than EPA head, though, because he at least has a law degree and he has no environmental know-how whatsoever.
True.
Frankly, they should move RFK Jr. to EPA because he was an environmental lawyer and move Lee
Right.
Zeldin into prison. And then that would be a good translation for me. I can't stand Lee Zeldin. I really can't. And it doesn't help that we share the first two letters of the last name, the ZE together. I have a lot of bitterness from that alone. So this was a week of Trump speeches and clips. I think that's fair to say. He was really on one this week, which is funny because last night he didn't tweet for a day and then everyone thought he was dead again. Which, I mean, what a sick country we are, where if the president isn't tweeting maniac statements, we think he's dead. We're just like, dude, Trump hasn't threatened all Muslims today. He's dead.
Yeah, check his pulse.
Dude, the guy must be freaking dead. He hasn't tweeted about tariffs today. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, other than that, though, he's been speaking and speaking and speaking. He gave a Iranian primetime address and saying that, oh, Iran has no more aircraft, no radar, no spotters. We're bringing them back to the Stone Ages. This is a line that they like. We're going to bring them back to the Stone. They keep saying that one. That's a phrase that's been tested in the GOP. They like that one. And that, regime change wasn't part of his goals. They're almost done. It is worth noting now that we are on week 5 and we were promised 4 to 6 weeks off the jump. And I don't think there's any chance this is ending soon.
No.
Like, no chance.
No. And it was one of those speeches where Trump stayed on teleprompter for most of the time. And for that reason, he was insanely bored and almost seemed like he could fall asleep at any moment because he wasn't doing his open mic Trump personality. He was doing his, you have to read these 5 sentences correctly because the entire world depends on it. And he was just going through the motions. I watched the whole thing. I put it at 1.25 speed. One was a little bit slow for me. It was a little dry.
See, not all heroes wear capes, and certainly not all of them wear suspenders. But anyway, here we go.
It was only like
what did you
18
find?
minutes. So for a Trump speech, that's not that
true.
long.
His usual his freaking rallies are 4 hours off the cuff.
Yeah, the State of the Union is 2 hours. Like, I can't do that.
But what did he say?
It was just mainly more of this like gobbledygook of we've destroyed them, we've decimated them. There'll no longer be a threat to. I think one of the main takeaways was like he kept emphasizing there'll no longer be a threat to the U.S. or to the region.
Oh, so Israel.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because the obvious question is, were they an existential threat to the U.S. ever? No. But like, were they a likely threat to the U.S.? No, absolutely. So it's like he's almost giving up on that point because it's so unbelievable. So he's really emphasizing like the regional stability argument of we're going to make sure Iran can never threaten. And he lists the countries that he calls our allies in the region. It's like he starts with Israel, then he goes to like Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia are the big ones. But that seems to be where the argument's heading. Is that a regional stability thing? Which the obvious question is, why is it the United States' job to do any of this if we're not being threatened?
Maybe Israel is literally invading Lebanon as we speak and bombing God. I mean, Israel in the last year and a half has bombed half the countries in this entire region. I wonder who's destabilizing that region at the moment right now. I mean, right? Like,
Right,
It's
and
hard.
he keeps saying like these other countries, even though they're great allies, the Middle East, they need to do more, and Europe needs to do more, and all these other countries are like, we never asked for this, like we don't want to do more, we don't think
We don't like
anybody
this.
needs to do more, right? Like, please stop. It's kind of wild how he's really trying to pass the blame to anybody else, but it's 100% his fault.
This is really not going well. This reeks of Putin with Ukraine type thing, where like they thought they had a win and then it's not working. And of course, literally yesterday, right, on Saturday, when was this? On Saturday, an F-15 was shot down over southern Iran. The first manned U.S. aircraft downed by an enemy in this war. And I think in a long, long time. I can't imagine that's happened. That probably didn't happen in Iraq, really, right? Or Afghanistan. Maybe I just don't know. I mean, I'm just talking about my ass right now. But one of the crew members were rescued on Saturday. One still remains missing. And Iran claims it was shot down with its new air defense system. But literally, Hegseth and Trump can't stop telling them how little missiles they have and how anti-air they have. And yet we literally had a jet shot down. So,
Right.
I don't know what to tell people. What do you tell people when you just point that out?
Right. And it's really doing a number, not just on the America First, like, whole argument of MAGA people, but it's doing a number on us having this overwhelming military that can accomplish whatever we want when we want it. Just because we have the most advanced military and nuclear weapons doesn't mean that in 2026, when countries like Iran have access to advanced technology, that like we can just go in and do whatever they want. Obviously, Russia's learning that the hard way with Ukraine. Like, they thought they could take that easily. And it seems like the same thing. Like, they seem shocked that Iran has this much missile capability still 5 weeks into this war.
It's so crazy. And it honestly, to your point, and we'll talk about the defense bill that they're trying now to get, but what have we been spending money on? I mean, dude, these guys have been spending almost $1 trillion now for like my entire life. And they've been talking a big game for a very long time. And it's so funny you say this, because I was thinking the same thing yesterday. Like, does this whole Iranian thing make it seem like the U.S.'s military is not as strong as they say it? Like, doesn't this kind of make you feel weaker in a way? Like, oh, we're weaker than I thought. It's almost like the rose is like unflowered in a way.
For sure.
Which
because
is not good.
what if this was a slightly more powerful country that was an actual like imminent threat to the United States? Like, this is kind of making us aware of like, oh, we need to prepare more for war in general.
But like, or maybe it's just the idiots. They're like, these guys are just uniquely horrible at it. You know, maybe these people just are. Well, first of all, I did a whole episode. We talked about this last week, but the initiators of war never win. You know, like they just don't win. So that's a mistake off the jump. But it also just shows you that the way even people think about war is totally broken. You know, like the way people even going forward with this stuff just doesn't work. And to make matters worse, during this war with Iran, Pete Hegseth, our lovely defense secretary, he literally forced the current Army Chief of Staff General, Randy George, to retire this week. So basically fired our number one general in the country. And in his farewell letter, General George, that is, he said the Army deserves a leader of character. And I mean, come on. I don't know how you could read that other than saying that it was not a direct shot at Hegseth for having no character. Or Trump, frankly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like, he's being replaced by the guy under him who Hegseth presumably has vetted for loyalty to Trump.
Yep. I mean, to fire the Army's top officer in the middle of a conflict is a disaster, right? I mean, there's no other way to put that, right? Like, how can you spin this any other way other than this guy, this is a disaster?
The spin is going to be he was appointed to that position during Biden, and anything that Biden touched is weak and woke.
It's just, but he's firing everyone. Who's running the military? If you keep firing everyone, who will actually do the job? Yeah, maybe he's just a Mad Dog Mattis commented this week saying he's never seen a president more divisive than President Trump this week, and he's never seen a president give so little care about dividing the union. Mad Dog, even when Mad Dog goes, this guy's nuts. He's named Mad Dog. The Mad Dog didn't like it. Yeah, it's just a disaster, and I just feel I like, I have all the respect in the world for these generals and these guys are serious operators, and I feel so bad that they have to listen to this fucking Hegseth moron on a daily basis. Can you imagine trying to do your job at the Pentagon and these idiots are just like, bomb them in the Stone Ages. It's so embarrassing.
It's so bad. And that's why I appreciate when they, like Mad Dog, eventually do comment on things, as opposed to like just the classy, resignation response. Like, if they were a part of it, like, they need to be the ones to stand up and be like, it's actually worse than you guys think. Which is what most of the guys who left his first term, that was the impression.
Rex Tillerson, this guy's deranged. CEO of Exxon, Rex Tillerson. Yeah, called him an idiot. Yikes. I mean, but maybe the thing that's freaking Trump out the most, specifically around the Strait of Hormuz, is this gas price effect, right? So the gas is now over $4 a gallon nationwide. I guarantee you I'm going to get a comment and an email that goes, it's $2.85 where I am. I get it every time I bring up a price. I'll say price of groceries are going up, and some dude in Iowa will go, bread has gone down 10 cents. What are you talking about? Have you heard about purchasing power? And I'll be like, you don't know what that means. It's a national average. So if the national average goes up, it's factoring in your bread.
Right.
Whatever. Anyways, sorry, you just don't I get these emails whenever price, they go, oh, you're only looking at California. Try the real America. I get that email every time. But anyways, over $4 a gallon. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge deal. This could majorly hike inflation if this gas, I mean, like it or not, gas is part of basically every supply chain that consumerism has developed. So yeah, groceries too, for like, this is going to be a problem. And I feel like we could be seeing some issues.
Yeah, and just like the price of eggs, Trump talked about the price of gas so much in 2024, but the U.S. is just getting screwed. Like, I saw this map of how much prices have gone up around the world per gallon. And like, even though most of Europe pays more per gallon than the United States, like on a regular week, their gas has gone up less. Like, ours going up $1, which is like, I don't know, 40% or whatever. Like, ours, we are getting hit among the hardest in the world.
And what's so funny about it is the president, one of the things that we've talked about that anyone who is in like the energy space kind of knows to an extent, is that the president generally has very few tools to actually affect the price of gas in regards to making it get lower. Because, you'll see Biden, you'll see Trump, they'll release the strategic reserves. That doesn't really have an effect because the world oil market is a very complicated kind of, commodities market that is operating globally. But what the president can do is make them go up. They're uniquely can make them go up. They can't really make them go down, but they can make them go up. And one of the ways you can make it go up is by going to freaking war with the country that owns the strait where all the gas goes through. That's a great way to make the price of gas go up. So I know how you could have avoided this. Don't bomb another country for Israel without any plan whatsoever, and maybe the gas prices would have stayed low. I mean, it's just an idea. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. And I really think they were confident they'd be able to control the strait in the near term, and it seems like they're not even close to doing that.
Well,
and
why would they let them?
In.
Well, why?
Right.
Why would Iran not keep doing this? This is the only leverage chip they have. You already killed their leader.
I think the U.S. thought it would be able to be taken by force within like a week.
Well, yeah. Well, I think, I agree. And I think it's because they thought they would do what they did in Venezuela, but I think they were really banking on the whole regime falling with that bomb on the Ayatollah's house. And the fact that the son lived really threw a wrench in their plans, because I think that, and Iran's just a different level. Like, they had a council ready to go. They were fired up. It wasn't like Venezuela. So I think they thought, just like with Venezuela, they'd be able to take the leader out and then run the show and steal all the oil the way they're trying to do in Venezuela right now. But it isn't as easy, because Iran has been focused solely on weapons and their military for the last 25 years. Like, that's all they spend their money on, is just military.
Right. And they knew, if a country invades us, who's it going to be? Israel or the U.S. Exactly. It's not like they're shocked by any of this.
And anyone who has worked in the State Department, I mean, you've seen so many reports coming out of this, all the people who do the war gaming of these things where they run these simulations for what the conflicts will go like, all of them had the strait being closed. I remember taking classes in my IR classes where they went through, and this is what the outcome was. This is the most obvious outcome. They're so stupid.
Yeah.
The arrogance on these guys is just out of this world. The cockiness, they don't end. And yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing that we will be seeing this end anytime soon. But to that point, and I know, how I know Trump thinks that too, is because he's floated his fiscal year 2027 budget out, which, presidents always overshoot for things, but this one was crazy. In his budget, he proposed a $1.5 trillion defense spending budget. That's a 44% increase of this year's, which is already the largest military budget of not just the U.S. history, but of world kind, right? And while explaining why he needed that budget, he made a lot of comments around how we got to take from the Medicare and Medicaid and daycare budget and move it to the military budget. Have you seen this clip? I've got the clip here. I'm going to play it.
I have. Apparently it wasn't supposed to be released by the White House, but they accidentally posted it on their Twitter and then deleted it.
Well, they accidentally can't. They're so stupid. Well, once again,
bad. People are like, why'd they release this?
Because they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing, these idiots. They're so well, thank God they're merit-based. I don't know what we would have done if we had DEI in charge.
Of course.
I mean, my God. So this is Mr. Trump referring to this.
And I actually said to them, I said to Russell, don't send any money for daycare, because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection. We have to guard the country. But all these little things, all these little scams that have taken place, you have to You have to let states take care of them, Russell, and you have to do it. And I actually.
So Russell, by the way, for those who don't know, is Russell Vought, the budget head, who is the lead author of Project 2025, just in case people were wondering who Russell was. And this is the gall of this guy to say this while asking for a $1.5 trillion defense budget.
Right.
Just insane.
Right, and it's one of those things where his advisors are like signaling him to stop talking because it's getting worse and worse. Like, it's one thing to mention daycare, and then he's like bitching about Medicare, and it's like, dude, you're just digging yourself into a worse hole.
It's just crazy. He called them scams at the end. By the end of it, he starts off, we can't afford them. It's up to the states. All these individual things, these scams. Medicare's a scam. Like he just like out. You can hear himself talk the insanity out of him, like as he's getting more and more fired up as he goes continually into his deranged rant.
Yeah, and he just sounds so. Bitchy is really the word. He's is not new for him, but he's just like complaining, and his complaint is we don't have money for your kids' childcare because we're spending it on useless wars. Which
Literally
doesn't seem to be a winning argument politically, but we'll see.
Then again, I mean, he could say we're gonna, I'm gonna start dating your kids, and they'd say, "Well, we love it. We're so happy." I mean, Jesus Christ! Did you see? Speaking of which, that CNN came out with a poll where they polled Trump's approval rating with different groups, and one of them was just people self-declared as MAGA. And 100% of the people who say they're MAGA say they support Trump. 100. I've never seen a poll say 100 before in my whole life.
Right. I know.
100% of MAGA.
And it really makes you wonder what's going to happen after he dies with MAGA.
I know. It's nuts, huh?
Like, does 90% go to JD Vance, or does 40% go to JD Vance?
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. And it, just for people to understand, looking at the same polling, I'm pulling it up now. Guess how many percent of Democrats have a favorable view about the Democratic Party?
75 or something?
No, it's so low. 41. Not even half. Not even half the Democrats actually have a favorable view on the Democratic Party right now. That's crazy. We're so self-loathing. I mean, I don't have a favorable view on them. I mean,
right.
I would be one of them. I mean, right?
Right, exactly. It's fascinating that you have polls like Trump approval rating, Democratic Party, and then MAGA. Like, can we talk about how weird that is, that a branding slogan, literally a slogan,
yep,
is now its own thing.
They've become a cult, a formalized cult. It's well, I mean, frankly, that's how we've seen all the radical parties in the past form, right? They just start calling themselves stuff. They get a hat. Usually they get a hat. A hat is a key first step.
It's often red.
Yeah. Whenever you get any red symbol, red hat, you got to get the hell out of there. That's a bad
Especially
sign.
when you mix in some camo, too.
Ooh.
It's not good.
No, run. If you're at a club meeting and they're only wearing hats and they start chanting and you see a guy in camo, get out. Things are not going good there. Go away. It's so weird. And speaking of weird, this week, unbelievably, but I guess inevitably, the Supreme Court started hearing the birthright citizenship case that the Trump administration is trying to do. They're trying to get rid of birthright citizenship. The case is called Trump v. Barbara, and it's a challenge to Trump's executive order that was ending birthright citizenship. And it was interesting because some recordings were released. I actually don't have any of the recordings, but you hear the conversations. Have you heard any of these clips between the Trump legal team and the chief justices?
No.
So I'm going to try to find one live because they're actually worth playing. So basically, the main argument that they're trying to make is that what the Trump defense team or the Trump attorneys are trying to say that Chinese nationals are being paid to come to the U.S. and have kids to then be spies or something like this. And they have like a whole industry of people. And Justice Roberts goes, do you have proof of that? Basically. And he goes, it's a new world, like, judge. And Justice Roberts goes, it may be a new world, but it's the same Constitution, which is a great line, by the way.
It's a great line.
Yeah. And one of the clips that was going around was between Neil Gorsuch and the same attorney who was doing all of the defense for Trump. And he asked him, would Native Americans be citizens based off of your definition? And the waffling. He's like, maybe, I think so. I don't know. And I'm like, dude, if your definition can't include Native Americans, read the name. Right. Then your definition isn't working.
Of course.
But I'm gonna get that clip. Native American birthright.
He should have said, what about white Native Americans? Because then they would have been like, oh, yeah,
well, then he would have
that's
said,
fine.
come on now. I mean, it's just, anyway, I can't find the clip off the top of my head. I'll post it on the Instagram. But yeah, it was wild. One of the most wild parts about this was Trump went to the oral arguments, which is the first time I think a president's ever done that, but definitely the first time he's ever done it.
Yeah, and he apparently was just sitting there in the front row, like menacingly, and for like an hour. And then when the opposing party, when it was their turn to talk, he just left. And then soon after tweeted about it.
Well,
Like-
he called them all losers. He called the Supreme Court losers because he said something around the lines of, they try to show how independent they are, even though I appointed them. Stupid people, they'll see. All right, dude. I didn't know he's in his Sith Lord era.
And it's just such an authoritarian move to break this norm of not going to these types of arguments. And then as
It's
the
crazy.
sitting president, just going and scowling.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
And reminder, when the National Guard had an exercise in Texas when Obama was president, the Republican governor stationed their National Guard because they were concerned Obama was trying to take over Texas militarily for full military control when there was nothing.
Dude,
and it's like
the memory of these
Trump's
people.
trying to overturn a constitutional amendment that has been in place for a long time, and he's doing it not just in court, but then like through this weird social pressure that's like not technically illegal, but it's a major faux pas.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous.
Right.
It's embarrassing, man. And he's trying to scowl his way through the Constitution, which it's just, he got a lot of press from his scowling mugshot, so maybe he thought he could ride that high.
True.
Well, and he is comfortable in court. We know that. I mean, he's in court quite often. So, also, he was doing comments I think after this, or like he was speaking around on this that day, and he launched one of these doozies out here, which about the type of people he likes. Have you seen this? I'm being a little mysterious, but it was one of those doozy Trump moments where he's just, his age is really showing. Ready?
I love this guy. He's so nice to me. You know, we're not supposed to be seduced that way, right? But I am. When somebody's nice to me, I love that person. Even if they're bad people, I couldn't care less. I'll fight to the end for them. I love this guy.
Well, that's it. That's what we've been telling him. Yep, there it is.
And he defines nice as, did they compliment me, not being a nice person.
Well, did they give me a gift?
Right. Did they bestow a gold placard upon me?
Well, and he also said this week in Saudi Arabia, because he was at the F1 or whatever, F11 investor conference thing. He said this week also that he doesn't like people who are more successful than him because he feels insecure, and he much be around dummies so that he can brag and they think he's cool.
Right.
So that's a funny combo.
Right.
with that comment. And also, that explains it. That is why he likes Putin more than the Prime Minister of Canada. I mean,
Right.
there we go.
Right. It explains a lot of how he acts.
It's one of those things that it's remarkable that someone who could think that way is aware of it. You know, like it's a weird moment of self-awareness when you're acting so crazy, because I feel like most people who do that, what he said, like overemphasize how nice someone is to their face, even if they're bad outside of that. Like that happens all of the time. But usually people aren't aware of it. They're not like bragging
Right.
about how they fight like hell for bad people as long as they're nice to him. Like it's a weird thing to
Right.
say.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, what is this guy? I am constantly puzzled by this man.
You get those like hints of self-awareness like once in a blue moon, you know. Obviously him saying I could shoot someone on 6th Avenue and my supporters wouldn't care, you know. That's the famous one.
That's a great moment of self-awareness.
I love the uneducated, maybe another one. But he does have some moments where, yeah.
You're just like, I remember, or when he was monologuing about being on the baseball field and wondering why the people in the insane asylum were in there, and his mom told him, Donnie, you're a handsome boy and you have a great swing. Or whatever.
Right. I think his supporters see him as very self-aware for a politician.
Well, they'll somehow angle this as a win. You know, no real politician would say something like that. See, he's one of us. Somehow this will be like, you know, evidence pro-Trump, him saying what we just played.
Yeah. Which
is just fucking weird. And like I said, he was talking to the Saudi Arabia thing this week, and he let out another doozy in the opening statement. Again, it reminded me of the thing you mentioned last week, the Fox News clip where he just started flirting with the host when they asked him about the Iranian kids starving. And it was another one where it's just, how horny is this guy? Like, he's so horny. So this is in the opening remarks at that event.
So I want to just thank everybody very much. And I'm asked to take a few questions. And unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Why would that be what we want? Why would we be wanting that? Mr. President, how is your sex life? Is that what we were going to ask?
He thinks he's like this sex god and people want his advice on the topic.
Mr. President, I'm having a hard time pleasuring my wife. I know we're at a Saudi Arabian investment conference. Mr. President.
Also, it reminds me of the first few months of this podcast when we would ask for questions about literally anything. We'd be like, send in questions about romance, about literally anything.
Please do.
But we're not the president at a finance conference, so it's a little different.
No, we're two guys talking out of our ass. We're talking shit here. This is the president. And It's so funny about it with that quote particular. It's the first thing that comes to his head. He doesn't go, you can talk to me about Iran, about the country. He goes, you can talk to me about sex. It's the first. That's like top of mind for him, like every moment, which does explain a lot. These two clips back to back explain a lot. I'll defend like hell for bad people. Please ask me about sex.
Yeah.
I mean, those two quotes together paint a picture of someone who will defend like hell someone who's really into sex. Anyway,
It's crazy. I really wish somebody would have asked him about sex.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
No reporter was brave enough. I'll take you up on that.
Mr. President, when's the last time you and Melania got it on? Was she wearing the hat, Mr. President?
Have you seen Love on the Spectrum?
Yeah. Do you think it's offensive to the autistic community? Are you on where what is Barron's? He would answer it too. Like if it was like what is Ivanka's sex life? He'd be like, he'd love to talk about that. Like that would be like like he would love that. Didn't he say he was wicked attracted to her? Isn't that like a quote?
Yeah, he said when she was 13 that like he would date her if she wasn't his daughter.
So weird. Such a shame.
Definitely wouldn't be friends with Epstein though. No chance that guy.
No one. He would definitely be honest about anything he saw that was bad, because he didn't say just moments ago he would fight like hell for bad people if they were nice to him. Another thing this week that is probably worth noting is Trump signed a executive order demanding the voter lists of every state. It's highly illegal. It probably won't stick. Another thing about mail-in ballots also won't stick, but we're going to be hearing about this for the rest of the year, basically. And frankly, if the Democrats do well, we are not going to stop hearing about this. Everyone's going to be talking about mail-in ballots, voter fraud, whatever, illegal. This is so irritating. This is going to be the conspiracy theory of our freaking generation. I just can't see any other way around it. I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't help it.
Yeah, and I think like progressive media and just mainstream media, like they really need to promote the fact that Trump is continuing to vote by mail himself.
Yeah, he keeps doing it himself.
He keeps doing it every few weeks while he's pursuing the Vote Save America Act and all this BS. And like, it should really be emphasized to the millions of people that vote by mail that like this guy is saying you can't do it, but he's too lazy to go in person because he says he's busy and shouldn't have to. But you should definitely take time out of work to go vote in person.
Because there's a 0.000000001% chance that an undocumented person might vote by mail, statistically speaking. It's just... And also, like, if someone voted illegally, mail-in, the person would open up the mail and they'd see it was filled in by, like, Johnny Rockets or whatever, and be like, wait a minute. I don't know if this is a real vote. Like, stuff is like so genius. It's like, what are we talking about here? Let's see here. There was a tariff on pharmaceuticals that were patented because of some sort of thing. There's a most favored nation stuff. I'll talk about that on the Wednesday show. That's it for the major news. Oh, actually, last thing I want to talk about before we get to more culturally things, even though this is cultural, this is kind of just good news, interesting. So the Artemis 2, which was launched from the Kennedy Space Center this week, was the first crewed mission to go to the moon. They're going to the moon again. And they're not going to land on the moon, but they're going to circle it. They're going to orbit the moon. And it's the first time in 53 years, which is pretty cool. It does make me laugh, though. They're going full Cold War here in terms of distractions. They really went down to the bag of tricks launching the rocket. They did that after the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's usually that's a last resort. move, shoot the rocket to the moon.
Yeah, the Epstein files and the economy are so bad that Trump started a war with Iran and is now sending people to the moon.
Yeah, literally. Like, that's what I want people to know. Like, those files and the economy are so bad. He made up a reason to go to war with the country and send someone to the moon. Like, that's not a joke. That's real life.
Right.
It's cool, though. I mean, it's cool. Like, it's cool. Bad day for the
cool.
flat earthers. Flat earthers
true.
really having a rough day.
and there was some actually trouble, like, around the time of the launch. Like, there was a loss of communication for like a few minutes. And there was reportedly a bunch of toilet trouble that was then
Really?
sorted out. Yeah,
Ew.
there was an issue with the toilets. So like they had to repair them like from space, like remotely.
Did you ever
but-
want to be an astronaut when you were a kid, or no?
No.
Yeah, same, never. Yeah. I didn't. Did you have a dream job? Was it this, the Lonely Liberal podcast? But no, but
It was being a 1950s radio host.
hey, see?
He swings at the deep fly ball.
Yeah, genuinely, that would have been a great job.
I don't know. I mean, of course, like baseball player as like a young little kid. I did think chef would be cool at one point. I definitely had a chef phase. How about you?
What's funny with the chef, you're not really a foodie either. You just like the prep. You just.
I
You're a
think you'd be
chopper.
surprised what I'm capable of in the kitchen.
Well, I
to
know
be
you can
honest.
cook. I know you can cook. I'm not doubting your cook. You do, and you have a huge kitchen now. To be fair, you can cook it. But I feel like usually chefs. Actually, I don't know. That's maybe not true. I feel like chefs often love food. Like they're big food people. Like they just love food. And like are
Yeah,
really
I think
into
it was just like
experimenting.
that's one of those jobs that you say, firefighter, astronaut. I feel like chef is somewhere in there. So out of
Chef
out
is
of
cool.
the options,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
pro chef. No, I could see you as a chef.
Astronaut's way too scary and claustrophobic though.
Yeah, I could never do astronaut. For me, it was, well, like actually, like you were saying, I really wanted to be a sports broadcaster. That was like my first one. Like not even doing the play-by-play, but just talking shit about the Red Sox after. I like WEEI,
Of
and
course.
stuff like that, and just being like, "Can you believe it? Like Trot Nixon again, another strikeout, you son of a bitch!" Like that
Sell
sounded
the
really
team.
good. Yeah. What a joke. I used to call, when I was a kid, I would get our landline at night and call in, and I would like try to do a deep voice when I was like 10 years, which is just like which is obvious. Like, I can't believe Manny dogged it on that fly ball. Like I would like, and they'd be like, "Tell me about it," and they would like do it. They didn't care.
Yeah,
that was
like
one.
I wanted to be on like Around the Horn, like something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. That
Like
would
a
be so
very
cool.
like argumentative sports show.
Big, like a Skip Bayless type, being like, "You've lost
Yeah.
your mind." Maybe we can convert this show to that eventually if it gets enough following. No, my like more crazier one in terms of like scariness was, I did like the idea of being a pilot because I'm scared of flying, and I always felt like maybe it would help me, feel good behind there, figure out what's going on. Because I like driving my car more than being in the car. Like I feel more like you do feel safer. I feel like if you're not scared of doing the activity, and so
Right.
pilot was one of them for me. And my favorite book growing up was The Little Prince, which is a plane crash actually. But I don't know. I liked pilot. I was like Snoopy with the goggles. The war, like the leather. And anyway, on to more cultural issues. This week was an interesting thing. So during the 2024 election, there was a lot of talk about right-wing podcasters, right? Specifically around people like Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk, but a lot on the comedian ones like the Theo Vons and stuff like that, who aren't explicitly political. Rogan's becoming more and more explicitly political, but definitely didn't start off as explicitly political. And then over time slowly drifted to the right, I'd say. I bet you if you asked either of them, they would say they're apolitical and they're just looking for the truth. And I'm sure many of their fans would say that as well, which, by the way, we have a big overlap according to Spotify. Our demo, they love Rogan. So keep in mind, we are not, we would never attack our ball head. Another Bostonian, we have our Boston, but no. He's an idiot. But anyway, so he had Theo Von on. So it was a little bit of a clashing of heads because you've been watching this kind of right-wing podcast sphere have to eat the sin of Trump and realize that they've been lied to and they got duped and they were kind of pawns in a larger scheme. And anyways, Theo Von was on this week, and Theo seems to have become clairvoyant more quickly than Mr. Rogan, I'd say, at least from this interaction. And I wanted to play a clip, but we can talk more about it in general. But I really thought this showed the different types of energies you see from these types of guys, if that makes sense. So let's just play this clip. Also, before we play, the listeners at home can't, well, listeners at home, they're all at home. But I mean, the listeners on just Spotify, they can see. It always cracks me up when different channels like make clips and they go like, Joe Rogan and Theo Von slam Trump in the Iran war. You'll hear right now Rogan does absolutely not slam the Iran war. Everyone's slamming everyone.
One time we did rent a car.
Here we go.
I don't think we're over there doing that for ourselves, though.
Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it's in our best interest.
Why do you think?
I'm going to play it. Hold on.
I don't think we're over there doing that for ourselves, though.
Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it's in our best interest.
Why do you think? Then what?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of people that donated to the Trump campaign that have significant influence over him.
Yeah.
That lobby for Israel.
Right.
And they're very beholden.
What do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to be okay?
I hope so. Of course. I don't know.
Do you think about it?
I'm confused. I can't believe we went to this war. When we started bombing Iran, I was like, this can't be true.
And what about Lebanon now?
I know. Israel's invaded Lebanon. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, just fucking stop. Like, what do you need?
Well, they're trying to, supposedly, they're trying to stop the terrorists.
That's crazy, though, if you're the fucking terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to stop them, fucking stand in front of the fucking mirror. I don't think we're over there doing that for ourselves.
So anyway, it's a great example of Rogan seeming very maybe I'm wrong, but he looked very uncomfortable, and Theo Von seemed like he got it.
Yeah, for sure. But I think part of that is because Theo Von plays the lovable idiot more than Rogan.
Yeah.
And because Theo had Trump on his podcast and endorsed him, just like Rogan did. It's just like Theo Von, and they've had Candace Owen. They've both had all these people, but Theo's podcast it's still majority comedians or musicians or whereas like Rogan's podcast, if you look at the guest list, it's like 50% of the people are there to talk about politics and usually promote right-wing views.
That's true.
Theo's very much because he's way funnier than Rogan, but also his character he's very much able to flip-flop and have it not seem like a flip-flop because he's still just this average guy who's just asking questions and now he's concerned about things. Like, he's really not, whereas Rogan, I think, knows deep down he can't escape how much he promoted Trump. Like, he was so explicit about it. Like, he has 3-hour podcasts with like Peter Thiel and all these people expressing the worst right-wing views on the planet. Yeah. Theo's better at escaping that criticism in a lot of ways, but yeah, I think you're seeing them come to terms with it, and it's like they're almost having an existential crisis. They're like, are we going to be okay? Like,
yeah, Theo particularly, it seems like that for sure. Like, and it's a great point. It's hard to tell because we don't know these people, We want to think we know them, but we don't. From just watching, it seems like Theo is more just like the lovable goof. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like that is more just true. So that's why it comes off like that. Whereas with Rogan, to your point, also Rogan's just been doing it so much longer, right? Like he's just been like slowly burning crazier and crazier over like a decade. Where Theo, and by the way, it should just be without saying, like Theo's so much funnier than Rogan. Rogan is so unfunny. Like Theo,
Right.
Theo is genuinely very funny, and Rogan is not funny. So
Right.
so Theo's much quicker on his feet and just like a funnier, like more spontaneous. But it's just more believable to me that Theo could actually have maybe bought some of the like and is genuinely working through an opinion, which people are allowed to do, right? Like you're allowed to change your mind, like. And he came from Louisiana, so he's like maybe like I could see a world where it seems more genuine potentially. Not saying it is because again we don't know them and they're just trying to make money, but with Rogan it's hard. Like you said, how can he can't hide from it? It's too real. He moved to Texas, like he moved there. He did his whole thing. He threw his fit. He made it all about joking around and comedy and blah 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 blah. And like, look what happened.
Yeah. And he like I think Rogan obviously always uses the excuse of like I'm just a comedian having conversations, but I don't think he even believes that anymore. Like I think he sees himself as like an important political player even though he would never describe himself that way. I
Yeah.
think that's how he sees himself. Whereas Theo is still in the comedy world enough and like actually doing stand up every night and surrounded by comedians and not like having your friend group being like stand up comedians, even if they're apolitical or lean right, versus having your friend group being like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Like
Yeah.
there's a big difference.
Majorly. And again, there's nothing wrong with being right wing. I think like it's just it's the endorsement and the promotion. It's funny, both of them I think would say, "Oh, that's why we had Bernie on. We're just against the system, kind of, free thinkers." But I do think that what maybe and genuinely maybe people are just realizing this now that like you don't have to be part of the political system to be like lie to people. Like businessmen lie to you more, frankly, than politicians do, if not the same amount. Like any understanding that people may have that it's if you're in politics, you're evil, and if you're out of politics, you're good. That is a really oversimplified way of viewing people's motivations because, frankly, there's no prediction at all. Like you're telling me right now you would trust the words from the CEO of Dell about Dell computers more than whatever politician about politics? No, like, and I think that a lot of people who are apolitical or like slightly interested in politics, they hate the government so much, their rage just gets spewed on to the politicians by default, whereas but a lot of the time, what they're actually mad at is what's happening at the corporate level. And they don't understand the government's actual role in these things. To your original point off the top of the show.
Yeah, definitely. And like obviously the cynical next logical conclusion of that is like the billionaires are keeping the population fighting about issues that don't impact their bottom line.
Which just seems to be the case, right?
Right.
I mean. And so here's the last question before we get out of here. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, the Vaughns, the Rogans, they go on an apology tour, basically. And like say, like, I got duped.
Still no jokes, though, from Rogan?
Well, Rogan, I mean, dude, I can't even put him in the same conversation. I just don't know enough. Well, like, okay, like, I think about this sometimes. So Jon Stewart, obviously, who you and I are both big fans of, definitely person I think does this stuff right? He always takes a more defensive approach to comedian. He definitely is like comedian code, like brothers in arms type thing. So he'll die defending Rogan, whoever, because he just goes, they're comedians, because that's his opinion too. Like, he would say, I'm a comedian first, and I just now know a lot about politics, and he'll downplay his political smarts and upplay his comic stuff, and he's hilarious, so I don't mind him doing that. But like, I do wonder, like, in this day and age when they're so blended nowadays, I mean, Chappelle, right? Like, even on his stand-up, like, they're not even stand-up specials, right? They're just monologues about whatever he thinks is interesting. What, like, is there a world where these guys can be used for good? Because I don't like the idea of these bridges being burned because they're so influential and they have such a wide range. And I don't, like, I don't know, like, it feels more misguided than evil, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I think, like, with Rogan's podcast specifically, part of the big issue is that he has on like 5 right-leaning comedians, 5 MAGA fully political people, your Charlie Kirk, your Pete Hegseth type influencers, and then he'll have on one Democratic politician like Bernie, or like he had Tallarico on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like the one Democrat politician that then has to be the spokesperson for every question about liberals that Rogan's going to complain about. Like, that's asking too much of them. And like, the reason that so many of these like male listeners to these podcasts, I think, like, slowly move to the right is because it's through these casual conversations with like right-leaning apolitical people. Like, it's not like all these people that voted Trump after listening to Rogan. It's not like they all heard Ben Shapiro's episode and like had a conservative awakening. A lot of it is like this subtle creep. And so like the balance needs to be Rogan shooting the shit like he does with Theo Von with a liberal comedian that like can still fit the vibe of the show and be a normal person while defending like progressive things. I feel like that's what's missing in these podcasts. He
should have Jon Stewart on, I think.
Right.
Because Jon would be nice. I mean, and famously, with Bill O'Reilly and whatever, like, is famously excellent at these cross.
And I think he did a few years ago.
Did he? Like, when?
I think he did. I think he did, like, maybe when Jon got the show back, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Did they talk politics at all, or like, how did they?
I remember being underwhelmed, but maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But I'm pretty sure Jon went on it.
It also is just such little representation from like what are you gonna have, Ronnie Chang?
Right.
Not that I don't like Ronnie Chang, but like Ronnie Chang doesn't have as much fame as Theo.
But it's frustrating because you'll hear Rogan cite like, I had Bernie on, and you'll hear him even go like, so many comedians are liberal. Like, I had Judd Apatow on. I'm a big fan of Judd Apatow. But then you watch the Judd Apatow Joe Rogan episode, and they're talking about stand-up comedy for all 3 hours. They never touch on all these political views where they disagree 100%. Like, Rogan keeps the conversation apolitical when it's somebody that doesn't agree with him. But when it's somebody that will agree with him, he'll go through his rants about the woke left.
Well, and it's part of it too, I think, is the crossover between the RFK guys and the right. Because Rogan really, if anything, sits more on the RFK type right than anything, right?
Definitely.
The heavy supplement, the heavy diet,
Massive amounts of steroids being pumped through his body.
So much HGH, so much.
HGH is transforming the size of his head on a daily basis.
The color, I mean, even in that clip, he makes Theo Von look like a ghost. Like, it's like he's so red. And those guys are huge. I mean, those guys are so much more common, I think, than people think. Like, there's a lot of talk about right-wing Gen Z guys. Those dudes are supplement dudes and crypto bros, almost certainly. Like, that's the biggest population of them. They're not these, Ben Shapiro fans, right? Or Charlie
Right.
Kirk fans or whatever. They're like freaking guys who want to eat an elk and do a push-up. And that's troubling for a lot of reasons. So I'm not trying to say those guys are harmless. But I do wonder is there a world where the Democrats can revitalize the Michelle Obama nutrition push and get the bros over, like the Liver King? Or are they just too flamboyant for the tough guys to ever join? Because eventually, ultimately, they've done a great job at just Democrats are wusses, and I don't want to be a wuss, so I vote right.
Right. And Democrats are unhealthy and promote unhealthy things. Is a
Or
giant
they're hippies.
narrative.
They're
Right.
hippies. Yeah, like, how do you get like more dudes who look like Dan Blazarian to be liberals? That's the question, because
Right.
that would actually work.
That's why it was great when Dave Bautista came out for Harris, like
Yeah.
calling like Trump fans pussies and stuff.
Yeah.
We need some of that energy.
Yeah, we need to bring that back, like the Rage Against the Machine type vibe. We don't need Bruce Springsteen singing 80-year-old Bruce singing Streets of Minneapolis. Like, that's what we don't need. We need like fucking, some jack dude like Chris Hemsworth being like, yeah, I love fucking gun control.
Seriously. I mean, like, Jack White does bring some of that energy, and he is really cool, and he is very political and anti-Trump, but he doesn't fit this. He's not like the Hemsworth, Dave Bautista, like, this dude will crush you in his hands.
Yeah, exactly. He's a little too weird, Jack White. And I love him, obviously.
Yeah.
We love him. But, like, he's a little too artsy. we need a guy, like, with a head. I guess Hassan Piker, he's huge. He's a big dude. But he's Middle Eastern, so that already rules him out.
We need a retired quarterback. We need an Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. Oh, but he's an RFK guy. We've already lost him. He's a free.
We've definitely lost. Yeah,
he's a free thinker. Tom Brady.
Not him.
No way. Yeah, we don't have anyone. We need a recruit. This is what we need. We gotta
They just have
Bruce.
Hollywood. That's what they have.
But those guys are like out of touch. They don't have the push-up thing. That's they're too like out of touch, and like people use that against them. We need like
Right. We need Jason Statham. What's his political views like?
Exactly. Jason Statham to be like down to earth and be like, you're a fucking loser if you vote for Trump. That's it.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
Schwarzenegger is kind of a Trump guy, not Trump guy.
True. Anti-Trump conservative.
Exactly, but he's also can barely get a word out. We need a guy who can speak. We're looking for guys. We're looking for team members because
we're looking for smart, articulate, jacked
men who can say, I care about my health, but I also care about the environment. That's all I want. That's what I need.
Right.
Because frankly, even if this show continues to grow, I don't know if they're going to be looking. You're more in the health community. We're both a little Brian John. Maybe we need to start talking supplements more. Maybe that's how we can get more of those boys. Maybe we need to do a stack reveal.
Imagine.
Yeah, if we hit a certain amount of likes, Rick will reveal his stack.
Protein breakdowns.
Well, what's that dude who is this natty or not kind of spotter?
Yeah, Derek, who does the natty or not.
Maybe we need to get Derek
He's
on the
great.
show.
Yeah.
We need to talk to him about this, but he'll just call us pussies probably. But anyway, all right, that's the show, folks. We're out of here. Thank you, Rick, per usual.
Thank you. See you later.
See ya.